Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description. Caller in the 250, you are up next.
Hey man, it's Dirk from the forums. Brandon, my name is.
How's it going?
Good man. Good to talk to you, man. You've helped me out a lot with my game, man. I'm excited to be on here.
Awesome. First-time caller from Canada, huh?
Yep. I'm up in Canada. Play a lot in Vancouver, and yeah, got a hand here for you. It's a pretty short hand, but it put me in a tough spot, and I just want to hear what you think about it.
Okay.
So I'm playing a 2-5 game, 1500 cap.
Yep.
There's a couple good players at the table. The rest are wrecks. They're not very great players, but just a couple good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So effective stacks with Villain 1. Villain 1 has 3,000. I have him covered.
Okay.
Villain 2 starts very short. He's got about 300.
Okay.
And my image is relatively neutral. New table. I'm a young guy. I look aggressive. I play aggressive. I imagine I look like I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So Villain 1 in middle position opens it up to 25. He's the one with a 3,000 stack.
Okay.
I have him covered.
Is that the standard open? Is that the standard open sizing in that game? Pretty much 5x.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very standard. I mean, we're pretty deep. It's 2-5. So.
And he was under the gun, right?
No, sorry. He was in middle position.
Okay.
So folded to me in the cutoff, and I call with pocket fours.
Okay.
So folded me 4-4, and so then it folds around to Villain 2, who is a tight old guy. It's a new table, but you can just tell, he's a tight older guy. He hasn't played any hands really since I sat down, and he 3-bets to 110 with only about 200 behind.
From the big blind or what?
From the, I believe it was a small blind actually, and the big blind folded.
Okay.
So it gets back to Villain 1, and Villain 1 calls. Now, I was originally going to fold, obviously, because the guy has such a small stack.
Yep.
It's obviously not deep enough to set mine.
Mm-hmm.
But with the guy being so deep, Villain 1 calling, I decided to call. I don't know what you think about that. But.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I mean, we've talked a lot recently about pure equity and how, the game there are a lot of things that I'm trying to round out pre-flop that we can learn from online poker, and things where normally we would say like, oh, we don't want to call out of position against queen 10 suited or suited connectors against a 3-bet, things like that. But then, the new way of thinking is, well, what is this guy's range? Does he have enough bluffs where we can actually realize our equity? Does stack size actually even matter? But the thing about small pocket pairs is it's very difficult to realize your equity. And the thing here is like, let's look at this in terms of pure pot odds here. I mean, 160, so it goes 25 call, 110, 220. I mean, you're calling 85 to win, about 250? So you're getting about 3-1, but you have to win against both players. And I'll just take this back to old school Crush Live Poker and Seed Open Poker stuff. I want to play hands that are small pocket pairs against what I perceive to be is a tight range. And the problem here is that I feel like unless you think that MP1 is like flatting as a trap, because it is peculiar that MP1 would call.
Well, that's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Because I mean, so Villain 1, what I forgot to mention is I haven't played with him before, but I've had regulars tell me he's a very good player, and I've seen him around.
Yeah.
I have heard he's a good player, and I think that he's going to be flatting this older gentleman's obviously very strong hand with himself having a very strong hand.
You don't think that he would just 3-bet that to get it in, to not have you come or he's trying to trap you behind? I mean, my feelings is that I would fold here, and I'd be pretty happy about it. And the other thing too is that I think that you have to feel like, although the guy in the small blind is rather short, that people's hero calling ranges tend to get a lot tighter when somebody is all in for the main pot. Now, you can build a pot with this guy on the side because you guys are deep and this guy's not all that deep in the small blind, but it's always a situation where, because people's bluffing frequencies are lower into side pots, unless the side pot gets very, very bloated, then when you're betting, you're not usually going to get paid off at the same frequency versus say like an overpair, because the guy that's trying to hold on with an overpair, he knows that you have to beat the guy that's in the main pot too. Now, like I said, this situation is a little bit different because the guy who's going to be in the main pot is so short. But when you add all these things together, I think this just becomes a relatively simple fold, because you're thinking, it's just a situation where who knows what MP1 is doing, and I just think it's rather optimistic that you're going to win a big pot with fours, targeting a guy that's opened and then call the short stack pre-flop. So I would fold, but it sounds like to me like you called.
Yeah, yeah, no, I called, and
Hmm.
yeah, no, I get what you're saying there, and yeah, I definitely agree. I could see this definitely being a fold.
Yeah.
But with position and with villain one being so deep, I decided to call, and we get a flop of 4-5-7 rainbow, and
You're in the cutoff, by the way. Is that right?
yes, I'm in the cutoff, so I got position,
Yep. Okay.
and yeah, flop 4-5-7 rainbow.
Okay.
Now, obviously, as I expected, villain two shoves all in for only 200 more, or
Yep.
it's actually about like 180,
Hmm.
and then villain one calls.
So villain
Now,
one calls. Okay.
now basically what I'm thinking is like villain one is like got to have a big pair here. I think he's trying to like trap me, and obviously I lucked out with hitting my set.
Hmm.
Because I mean, like I said, I have heard Villain One's a good player, so I don't think he's gonna be calling very loosely against this, tight older guy's three bet.
Hmm.
With such a shallow stack, it just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I put him on, and I decide to check raise here because I don't want any like straightening scare cards
You
to
mean
come off, or like say an ace come off and he's got like queens or something.
you raised in
Um,
position, right?
yeah, yeah. Or sorry, not check raise. Sorry, just raise.
Just
Yeah,
raise. Okay.
no,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry, not just raise.
Yeah.
So I make it 575,
Yeah, that's
and
interesting. Oh man, that's interesting because it sounds to me like you have and it's not, you do have I think what is a logical read on villain two's. Excuse me, you have a logical read, and I agree with you on villain one's range. And I feel like this is actually a time where I would want to feign weakness in my hand for the same reasons, because you have to, for the same reasons that we talked about, right? Like I just said before you even told me what came out, it's going to be harder, I feel like, for villain 2, or excuse me, for villain 1 with the overpair to hero call you down on multiple streets, because you have to beat the guy who's all in on the flop. Just what we talked about, right? So I would take that and I would say I actually need to feign my hand. I need to actually feign weakness here because my raise is almost too strong. Now,
yeah,
the problem I'm trying to think of some hands where we might raise here as a bluff, but it probably wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because we still have to beat the guy in who's all in. Like if we had a hand like 6-7, you know what I mean, or something like that. Like the time that you might
yeah,
actually raise here as a semi bluff, although you would never really find yourself in the spot, I don't think, because of the pre-flop action, would be if you thought somehow villain 2, this old guy, is a maniac, and you think that villain 1, the guy calls in between, has like an overpair, and you have a hand that's got some sort of 30% plus equity, where you're like, I'm just going to get it heads up against this maniac. But that doesn't really sound like this is the case. So if that's not the case, you look awfully strong. And I just don't
yeah.
know if that's going to get the job done here against a thinking player in the middle. So this is actually a time where I would have even though I wouldn't be in there pre-flop, I would feign weakness here with a very high frequency for those reasons.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and especially like as a thinking player, getting raised on that flop, I could see it becoming really scary for an overpair there,
Yeah.
unless he thinks I'm just a horrible player doing it with like nines or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, I do click it back to 575,
Mhm.
and villain one's sitting there thinking about it for a minute, and remember this like. And a very important part of this hand is like I have it in my head that this player is a very good player because this is what I've been told by
Mhm.
multiple people. So that's kind of what's going through my head. And villain one's thinking, and then he back raises all in.
He back
And
raises all in.
yeah, he back raises all in and it's so now it's about 2100 to call and for a pot of about 4000.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. So,
Yeah, I know it's a sick spot.
but the problem is that there are some inconsistencies in these reads because here's the I mean here are the I'm not saying necessarily in your reads, but I feel like that there's some inconsistencies in the entire the way that this hand plays out because you're saying you think that the guy is a good player and that he might be trapping you with an overpair. We can
Yeah, but
probably
well,
we can probably also agree that if this is an old guy, flatting if you open for 25 and you're villain one's position, right? And I'm just writing here that back raise is all in. If you open for 25 and you're in villain one's position, and now you get a call in position, and now this guy who is an old, crusty old man re-raises to 110, you're not going to be in there pre-flop with sevens or fives or 6-8 suited, right? So
yeah, for
there's
sure.
something that's not in a line here with what our reads
Yeah,
were throughout the entire hand. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. And I agree. And like I said, these are just reads as I was going through the hand. Like they weren't actually obviously correct, all of them. They're
Yeah.
just kind of what was going through my mind and what I've been told.
I mean, you know, people have said this too. As I've talked about, you kind of go back, and I'll quote ominous cow from from maybe a few months ago, kind of going back around to baseline where you're probably making a awfully big assumption that the guy in MP1 is flatting with a big pair if you really don't know him all that well. And now you get into this sort of quandary where it's like, what on earth is this guy doing? The thing here, though, is that if he doesn't have sevens, fives here, or 6-8 due to pre-flop, is it possible that he thinks you've got kings or queens and he has aces? I'm talking about V1. You're getting 2-1 to call, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Then
exactly.
I
Yeah,
would find it hard to fold here. I mean, this is much,
yeah.
much different than the squish my tomato hand from, I think, last week with the bottom set with the pocket sixes, which I bumped in the forums here today.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I would call. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, people are saying it's a snap call off, but I, I mean, it would seem to me, I just find it hard that this guy might have sevens and fives here if you think he's decent. Like I said, there's something out of line. How often does he have sevens or sevens here versus how often he thinks that you've got queens or kings and he has aces?
Well, and that's just it. And I just don't like. I just don't understand. Say if he did have aces, why he would back raise. I don't see why he wouldn't just like call and see what the action is on the turn. I mean, yeah, we don't have any history. He doesn't know how I play, if I'm a good player or bad player.
Uh-huh.
But with back raising, it's just like, and it just seemed to me like the way he did it, like he was expecting a snap call. Like it was really weird. Like he thought about it and just kind of put his chips in, like, oh, okay, let's do it. You know, like it just seemed like he was just expecting the snap call. So it was just
Um,
like really
I
weird.
again, I mean, it's just I would probably call off. I mean, a couple other things that would he ever make this play with like pocket sixes or some? But that's the same
That's
shit as having
exactly.
sevens or fives though too. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's and yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing is like I thought like if like this guy's got to be have like or got to have like fives or sevens, but at the same time like I've only been told that he's a good player. Like I don't know anything about this guy. I've only been told a couple things.
Hmm.
So I mean, really like when things aren't things don't really make too much sense and stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna fold, and I do call, and he has pocket sevens.
And he had pocket sevens.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
I took a long time with it. Like I was seriously, I was like saying, like, man, like we both published that, like I'm gonna have to chuck this, like, and I thought about it for a while. I'm like, you know what? I was just seeing too much weird shit. I haven't played with you before, and I'm just gonna call.
Well, no, I mean, I think that that's what I would do too. But at the same time, I think that if I got into this situation, I would call for your same reasoning, but I would take your reasoning and apply it to pre-flop and fold. I haven't
Yeah,
seen this
for
guy.
sure.
I'm making a big assumption. Didn't really matter. I mean, there's always reverse implied odds when you know when you're calling the smaller the pair and the more reverse implied odds you have of getting set over set. But that I
Yeah,
mean that's why I don't think that it's an issue of oh you know that's why you don't call pocket fours because you're going to lose a $4,000 pot. No, it's that you're not deep enough to call here, given this situation. Pre as played on the flop, yeah, I'm just going to have to just call. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it was just a really weird spot, and I mean, I totally agree with your reasoning for not calling pre-flop. I thought about that as well, and I definitely agree with you there, but. Yeah, that flop spot was just it's a spot I'd never really been put in before, I don't think, and it was a hard decision.
Did you
And
ever see what Villain 2 had? Did he ever table what he had? Did he have an overpair?
no, no, he just mucked.
Okay. Well, we would make the assumption that he has an overpair. Um,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would definitely say ace king at very worst, but I don't know why. I don't know.
the weird thing too is that I wonder if I was your villain in that spot, I wonder if I would even I wonder if I was villain 1, I wonder if I would even re-raise your raise there. Because I wouldn't really
Yeah,
expect you to have fours or fives there all that much, and you don't have straights, so maybe you're the
yeah,
one that's got. Yeah, I. That's a weird hand altogether, but
it is weird. And like I said, like when you put the money in, like it was just like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like the vibe is like he's putting the money in, and I'm gonna snap call. Like it's okay, let's do it. It's hands over, money's
mm-hmm,
in.
mm-hmm. Well,
But
anyways, thanks for the call, bud.
yeah, thanks a lot, Bart.
All right, take it easy. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.